Hi, good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to today's session on Introduction to Ethereum. So very glad to have everyone here with us. And I see a lot of familiar faces, familiar names, like Jamie, Lawrence, Kui Huat, Kiang Kong, Christopher. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. And let's just say hi to everyone in the chat. All right. Wonderful. So today, just to share a bit about myself, I'm YH. You can call me, I'm Yun Han, you can call me YH. So basically, we are a bunch of crypto enthusiasts, and we just really want to share more about crypto, share more about blockchain with everyone. And with me today, I have Dennis and also Ian. So Dennis will be the one sharing on Ethereum today, and he's quite a big Ethereum fan. So later on, right, you have any questions on Ethereum, feel free to shoot, feel free to share. We also have a QA link that I will share in a group chat later. So when you see the link, right, you can input your questions there. Then we will answer the questions with the most voted, the most number of votes. All right, so maybe Dennis, do you want to give a quick intro about yourself before we move on?
Yes, hi everybody. I see some familiar faces from different parts of my life. Some of you have been here with me for the previous blockchain courses by NTUC Learning Hub. Some of you are personal friends who are actually interested in blockchain and you found yourself in here. So all of you are welcome. Today's class is, or today's course, today's talk is Introduction to Ethereum. It's not a formal class, so treat it like a hangout session on a Thursday night, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you, Dennis. So next, Ian. We also have Ian here, and Ian is also one of our trainers for our blockchain courses.
Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. Yeah, my name is Ian, and I teach the Blockchain for Corporate Compliance class. So I do recognize a couple of you here as well. So glad to have you with us. Hope you find today's session on Ethereum useful.
Thank you. Wonderful. Thanks, Ian, and thanks, Dennis, for sharing. So very happy to see so many familiar faces because it means that you guys are really interested to learn more, and that's good. Because for crypto blockchain, every day, every week, every month, we have new news, new happenings. So everyone here, we need to keep up to date and just learn more about this, right? Because before we invest in anything, it's good to learn about the underlying technology. It's good to learn more about it. Before we begin, here's a quick disclaimer. None of these materials here should be construed as investment advice or financial advice. So please always do your own research. Sometimes we may recommend some websites, some exchange, we may recommend some links, but ultimately whether you decide to buy, sell, or trade, it's really up to you, and we really strongly advise you to do your own research before you get into anything. All right? About us, so the Block School, we are a blockchain education and consultancy firm, and our aim is really to introduce everyone to the world of blockchain and crypto. And I think personally what I find is that in Singapore, we don't really have a vibrant crypto community. We don't have a place where people can share about crypto, learn about crypto. So we are trying to build it by having such monthly sharings, and also through our Telegram group, where a lot of people will ask questions and share, and very good. I see like a lot of keen participants like Ivan, Ben, Brandon, who are always in the Telegram group. So do feel free to share more. Do feel free to contribute more, because we are all here to learn. And if you know more, feel free to share as well. All right. And before we move on, right, also want to share that recently we have rolled out new courses. So the new courses we rolled out is related to DeFi and introduction to crypto, like a crypto starter pack. So if you are someone looking to go into cryptocurrency and you need a bit of hand-holding, meaning you need someone to guide you through, someone to really help you with DeFi, help you with setting up your new account, feel free to go to our website at theblockschool.com and register your interest for our new courses. So we will contact you later once we have more details on the new courses. Just like in blockchain, our voted topic for today is also based on consensus, meaning that we don't choose a topic. We select the topic that most of you want to learn about. So for this session, the topic is Intro to Ethereum. So everyone here want to learn about Ethereum. Understand that over the past few days, crypto has been crazy. Bitcoin has been like shooting up like a rocket. And maybe some of you are here to learn about like, what about Ethereum? Is it a worthwhile investment? So the thing is that we are not investment advisors. We won't like give you financial advice. But what we can do is we can introduce to you to this technology, and you yourself, you can decide whether you really want to try to get your skin in the game, maybe get some crypto. But don't worry if you don't want to get in, like buy crypto as well, because later in the session, we will have our lottery. So we will pick one lucky winner who will win 20 USD worth of Ethereum. All right, so even if you don't want to buy, maybe today you are a lucky winner and you can finally own some Ethereum for yourself. So today's agenda is really to introduce to you about Ethereum. We will start with an introduction on Ethereum. What is smart contract? What are DApps, dApps, decentralized apps? And then Dennis will share the use cases and the future for Ethereum. So I'll hand over the time to Dennis. So Dennis, the Ethereum fan, will now share with you more about Ethereum. And while he's sharing, right, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat box. If you need clarification, feel free to do so as well. So Dennis, over to you. I will stop sharing.
Okay, thanks. Let me just put my screen on. Today is quite a big group. We normally have like, what, 30, 40 people, but today we are pushing 55. Today we are pushing 60. That's crazy. That is a good indication always, right? It's always a good indication that the market is hot. Can everybody see my screen? You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Let me get through the content to where you left off. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. Let's talk about Ethereum. Everyone's heard about Bitcoin, right? Everyone's heard about Bitcoin through the entire fourth quarter of last year. Bitcoin went on a bull run. It surpassed the previous high established in 2017, which was $20,000 per Bitcoin. And it reached as high as $42,000 a couple of days ago. All right, so it basically doubled from its all-time high. And so everyone's been talking about Bitcoin. But today's topic is Ethereum. What about Ethereum, right? Everyone talks about Bitcoin, everyone hears about Bitcoin, but what about Ethereum? I personally don't think there's a lot of attention on this yet. Among the community, yes, there's lots of people who are aware of it and are interested in it, but I believe that all of you who have taken the initiative to sign up for this course or to sign up for this talk, you actually are really early in the game. Okay, you're really early. And the benefits of being early are that you have a higher capacity for returns, right? Okay, so let's have some statistics here. Let's take a look at market value, all right? This is the market dominance. Basically what it means is that this is the market share of each of these cryptocurrencies as a total, as a percentage of the entire cryptocurrency market capitalization. All right, so Bitcoin. Sorry, I'm just going to mute somebody's mic. Okay, somebody's mic is still on. So where was I? The entire cryptocurrency market value right now is dominated 68% by Bitcoin. All right, so 68% of the value of all cryptocurrencies comes from Bitcoin. Ethereum, or the asset Ether, comes in at 13%. And all the rest of the other little coins, they are fighting over the last 19% of the market share of all cryptocurrency market value. Okay, so Bitcoin is the largest. Ether or Ethereum's, the asset of Ethereum, is the second most valuable. All right. But now contrast this to the next chart I'm going to show you. Okay, this is Ether, the second most valuable cryptocurrency. And this is all the cryptocurrencies, blockchains, ranked by the revenue that they generate. Ethereum comes in at number 1. It is almost double. It's more than double of Bitcoin's revenue. Okay, so Ethereum, despite being the second most valuable cryptocurrency, actually generates the most fees in terms of all cryptocurrencies, in terms of blockchains. Okay, so clearly there's something mismatched here. right? You are second in value, but you're generating way more revenue, all right? Now let's give you a bit of history on Ethereum now that we have hooked you in with that. This was launched in 2015, right? So it's only about 6 years old. It's the most actively used blockchain, as you could see from the previous chart. The highest volume of fees generated by blockchains is in Ethereum. Second is Bitcoin, right? But if Ether is the second most valuable cryptocurrency, while Bitcoin is currently trading at $38,000 or so, Ethereum is now trading at $1,100 and is second in market cap, right? Ethereum is a peer-to-peer network, meaning it's a network formed of a whole bunch of computers all across the world. Hundreds of thousands of computers all across the world are serving as validators for the Ethereum network. Peer-to-peer means you can send your money, your art, your game items directly to someone else without the use of an intermediary. All right. And Ethereum is valuable precisely because it has smart contract functionality. Now, those of you who have been through our NTUC Learning Hub courses, you have understood the basics of smart contracts. This is what makes Ethereum so valuable. All right. So what is Ethereum used for? Let's define some of these terms. Ethereum, basically, you can imagine it to be a decentralized supercomputer across the world. All right, we call that the Ethereum virtual machine. This is a massive, massive computer that is spread all across the world in different people's computers who they all contribute computing power to process transactions all across the globe. Now, the asset of Ethereum as a blockchain, the asset is called Ether, right? This Ether, this little diamond-shaped thing, it's like a prism. It's two halves of a prism. This is the currency on the Ethereum blockchain. All right, and why is Ethereum used? Ether is used to pay gas fees, right? Just like driving a car. You got to put some gas into the car before it can take you from point A to point B, right? To power a machine, you got to put some energy into it. This is the unit of, this is what Ether does, right? It's used as gas to transact value. So all this gas, all this talk about gas, all this talk about transactions, they are generally, in the case of Ethereum, they come from smart contracts. Okay, so smart contracts, they are basically computer programs. They operate on preset conditions. They operate on basically what we call if-else logic, right? If this happens, do that. Otherwise, or what we call else, do the other thing instead, right? So you can imagine smart contracts for use in betting conditions, like if Manchester United wins, pay this guy X amount of dollars. If Liverpool wins, then pay the other guy that amount of money. All right, so they're automatically executing and they are stored on the blockchain, right? So they're stored on this decentralized network and they're powered automatically. As long as the users put in the conditions and pay the gas fees, these smart contracts can run. All right. Now, so what is the importance of smart contracts? Smart contracts are important because they power decentralized applications. They are the backbone of decentralized applications. Now, decentralized applications are very similar in the way your web applications look like. They generally look like websites. They generally look like your games. They look like your software. Except instead of being stored on a central location, the back end runs on the blockchain. Okay, so the back end runs on this network of computers who all contribute computing power to move this virtual machine. Okay. So let's talk about some of these famous decentralized applications. Now, those of you who know me personally, you know I talk about sushi all the time. I'm always about sushi, sushi, sushi. You know, I'm always talking about it. Sushi is a very famous decentralized application that is up and coming. It only popped up maybe about half a year ago. I'll say, yeah, around September or so. For example, Ethereum as a layer, right? It's a layer. It allows you to build applications like Sushi Swap on it, right? Sushi Swap is a cryptocurrency exchange, which means you can go there to buy your stable coins. You can go there to swap for other Ethereum assets. You can go there to trade your Ethereum versions of Bitcoins, okay? Sushi Swap as a token allows you to earn a passive yield, quite similar to a dividend yield, all right? In future, Sushi Swap can also be used for loans and derivatives in the financial markets, right? So there are plenty of use cases for these decentralized applications. Now, while this sounds like it's all going to be financial, decentralized applications are not just limited to the world of finance. Okay, for example, you have this one called Engine. Engine is a decentralized application for blockchain games. All right, so those of you who play games, right? The problem that Engine tries to solve, Engine being built on Ethereum, the problem that it tries to solve is this. You have spent 100 hours of your life playing in one computer game, right? You've level grinded, you've collected all the legendary items, you picked up the epic armor, you've done all this, you've flushed away so many hours of your life down the drain playing this game, right? And now that you've played it to pieces and you're bored of it and you want to move to another game, you find that you have to start from scratch. You find you have to start from ground zero all over again. All your in-app purchases from the previous game, gone. All those 100 hours spent in the previous game, gone, right? So what Engine does, interestingly, is it says, well, let's use this Ethereum blockchain. And since you have collected all these super awesome items and super rare weapons, why not you melt it down to Engine coins, move it over to the new game that you just started on, and then spend this Engine coins to get a head start in the new game that you're starting on. All right, so basically you're transferring your value from the previous game into your new game. And clearly this potential has caught the attention of some of the biggest game developers in the world. It's also caught the attention of some big companies such as Microsoft and Samsung. You can see that these are some real world partnerships that are happening. All right, so it's not just finance, not just games. In fact, now we can also see that Ethereum is also useful for stablecoins. Some of you are quite aware through our cross-border payments class, right? That the sending money back and forth across between different countries, sending money internationally using SWIFT, that's really expensive, right? Super expensive just to send a $5,000 transaction across SWIFT. You know, you end up paying like 1% charge, 2% charge sometimes. And it takes you like 3 to 5 days. Because of all those intermediaries, you're having lots of delays, you're having lots of fees. So what lately happened is that the US government has just approved that blockchains can be treated similarly to SWIFT or FedWire or ACH as financial networks, right? So US dollar coin, USDC, holds the value of $1 at any point in time, right? So it gives you all the benefits of the blockchain minus all the volatility of Bitcoin, right? So this makes it able to, it gives you a good tool to send money back and forth across the internet really quickly. And it's now starting to get recognized and legitimized by the US government, right? So I believe other countries will follow suit as well. So what is the future of Ethereum? Now, many of you who are quite familiar with blockchain, you've started to notice that there's a bit of scalability issues, right? I mean, for example, Bitcoin, you're probably only handling one block per 10 minutes, right? Ethereum is a little bit better, right? Maybe your transactions are 15 transactions per second, okay? But it starts to jam up the network, especially in times of really busy market activity. When everybody wants to use the network, it gets super jammed up, super busy, and everybody ends up having to outbid each other to pay higher gas fees in order to prioritize their transactions and get it to go through the network. All right, so scalability is a problem. The future of Ethereum will handle this through a few much needed upgrades, such as sharding, such as rollups. It's a little bit out of the scope of today's discussion because we only want to introduce this. We only want to make it an introduction talk. But those of you who are more familiar, you can read a little bit about rollups and sharding. This will help you to understand the future of Ethereum and how it can scale much wider and faster. The future of Ethereum also will see it go from proof of work to proof of stake, which is basically what these two abbreviations are. Proof of work is what the current consensus mechanism for Bitcoin is. All right, so it's the idea that miners around the world have to race to crack a complex computational puzzle in order for them to validate transactions and receive a Bitcoin reward. Unfortunately, this is a very environmentally unfriendly mechanism. So there's a bit of a debate, and now people are seeming that they want to push this to proof of stake, which is a lot greener and a lot faster, less intensive in terms of your equipment, and more accessible for people to participate as miners or as to participate as validators. Okay. And when these things are sorted out, right, when these things are sorted out over the next 1 or 2 years, we'll start to see Ethereum really take its place to prove its worth as the Internet of Value. Now, the Internet of Value is what we refer to as, okay, so you know the current Internet, right? The current Internet. It's great for sending around information, right? You want to send pictures, you want to send songs, you want to email, you want to send presentation slides. It's easy, right? Moving information back and forth as data is easy. But it doesn't seem to be very well suited for moving money around. You want to buy something on Shopify, maybe your debit card gets rejected. You want to spend something on PayPal, for some reason, the e-commerce site that you're using rejects your PayPal, right? It seems to be really inconvenient when it comes to handle money. And that's where Ethereum, as a blockchain, as a peer-to-peer network of value, makes it way easier, way more efficient to handle transactions financially, right? So that's what Ethereum is meant to do, okay? And with more and more of these improvements, we'll start to see that this vision as an Internet of Value will materialize. All right? So you can see that the range of decentralized applications is super diverse, right? You can be financial, it can be like recreational for games, it can be social media. You know, I would say like things like one of the big things that happened on Twitter lately was the fact that Donald Trump basically got censored, right? He basically got canceled. His account got suspended. And while some people are quite amused that such a negative, hateful tweeter finally got shut up, on principle, many people are they're in disagreement about how, you know, for lack of free speech, these things can happen. So as a censorship-resistant internet, Ethereum also is able to produce censorship-resistant social media, right? Which is definitely a good thing in terms of how people can express themselves. Okay, so the use cases of Ethereum are super diverse, super large, and even the founder of Ethereum, right? When he created it, I'm pretty sure he did not see all the different things that could come out of it within like 6 years, right? I mean, not just talking about Ethereum. Let's talk about the internet. Pretty sure when the internet was invented in the 90s, right? The inventor probably did not foresee that someday, 30, 40 years into the future, Generation Z kids would be dancing to their phones and sending it back and forth to each other to generate billions of dollars of value, right? So this is the way technology progresses. What I'd like to end off with here is saying that you could invest in a new technology early, right? And reap the rewards. Or you would adopt the technology eventually anyway, but as a user, much later in the adoption cycle, right? So you can think about that. You can think about that. And so I'm really glad that many of you have decided that Ethereum is something that you're interested in. You have the foresight, so don't waste it. Go ahead and ask us some questions. Go ahead and participate and engage with us so that we can help you out in this education journey. All right. Okay, thanks for your attention. I believe now we are going to move back onto the lottery. So Yunhan, you want to take over from here?
Sure. Before we move on, I just want to check, do you guys want to do the lottery first, or let's do the QA? So if you want to do the lottery, can you type lottery in the chat? If you prefer us to go through the questions first, please type QA. So let's go by consensus again.
I think I'll go by yes and no because everyone is typing. It's so hard to tally. So those who want to go for a lottery, can you click the green tick for yes? Those who want Q&A, click the red cross for no. You find that in the participants tab, you click the participants menu, it should pull up the name list of everybody. Then click the green tick for yes. Well, it seems like everybody wants lottery right now.
And Kevin, very cute. He wants dinner.
Dinner, click go faster. You vote for dinner by clicking go faster.
All right. So now, do we have more yes or no, Dennis? Do you?
It looks like we have more yeses than nos. We have 8 yeses to 3 nos.
All right. So we'll do the lottery first. Yes, it's the lottery, right? Is that the lottery or the QA?
Yes, it's the lottery.
All right, so let's do the lottery first. I hope that none of you leave right after the lottery, because the purpose of this session is not just about winning Ethereum, right? It's about gaining knowledge about Ethereum. And then from there, I think potentially in the long term, you may earn more, maybe not monetary sense, but also your knowledge sense, right? All right, so since majority of you want to go with the lottery first, it could be a good break. So let me just share my screen, quickly do the lottery, and then we will go back to our QA. So let me just share a bit. Let me put some suspense music. All right, so the lottery, these are the names in the list. So basically these are all our participants, and you will see that some of you have more than one entry, and that is because you have invited your friend to our Telegram chat. So thank you for that. So basically, here are all the participants, and then we will just copy paste it into a name generator. So this is the name picker. Let me share. All right, so I hope the lucky person will be someone here, because we do have some people that didn't join the session. So there may be some names that we pick up and then nobody is here. So if your name is the one that is picked up, right, please type yes in the chat or just unmute yourself. Let us know, okay? So here are the list of people, and then I will just start. All right, Catherine Teo, are you here? Let me check. If you are here, please unmute yourself, say I'm here. If not, we will pick another winner. Is Catherine here? Let me just play music while we wait. All right, so since she's not here, that's good for the rest of you here, because it means that you could be the winner. So let me just pick another name. Ong Zixiang, are you here? Ong Zixian, calling once, twice. This seems like an auction where we like call once, call twice. All right, I think Zixiang is not here. Very good, means more chance for you to be the winner. Next. KK Wong. KK Wong, are you here? Oh, I think
Yes,
KK
I'm
is
here.
Yay! We have our
Yes.
winner, KK. Congratulations! So you are the winner. So let's
Thank
congrats
you.
Kiang Kong. Kiang Kong, you will we will transfer you 20 USD worth of Ethereum, and we'll actually do it now.
Thank you.
All right. So let me
Oh,
just
no problem. Good. Thank you.
yeah. So KK, before I transfer, right, can you do me a favor? I will need you to
Yeah.
double check whether this is your address. So this is very important for
Oh boy,
everyone.
how do I check?
Do you download the Metamask, my Ethereum, my Ether wallet app on your phone?
Yeah, but what it means is I got to keep switching phone, and sometimes it won't come out.
All right. So just to share the best practice, right, before you send someone a transaction, you should always check the address, because blockchain transaction is immutable and it's final. So once we confirm send, right, we cannot reverse it, we cannot revoke it. Okay, so as much as possible.
The problem is I can't switch. Yeah, I can't switch between screen to look at the number. Is it?
I see. Because you're using your phone.
You know. Yeah, I'm using the phone.
All right, so so assuming, we'll just assume this is the correct one, and then we will do the transaction now.
Okay.
And then later on you check.
Yeah.
Okay, but if it's not the correct one, right, too bad. then
Okay.
it could mean like there is some issue. But just for the rest
Okay.
of you here, just to share, because we are doing a live transaction on blockchain, meaning that we are using the blockchain to transfer. That is why we want to check the address, because once you transfer, I cannot say, hey, I transfer wrong, I want my money back. Okay, so we are taking a risk here. We are just assuming that this address is correct. All right, so congrats again,
Okay.
Kang Kong. So let me just
No
quickly do the
problem.
transfer. So if you see my screen, right, I click on this fox.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Metamask. So Metamask is a Chrome extension that enables you to connect to the Ethereum blockchain and do your transfer. So this is the benefit of Metamask, is that it's 24-hour. Let's say you do on Binance, right, the transfer. What if Binance go under maintenance? You cannot do the transfer already. But then on blockchain, when you do the transfer, you can do it anytime you want. And you just need to pay the transaction fee. Okay, so let me just quickly send. I copy paste the address that Kiang Kong shared already. And you see
Okay.
here, this is where you input the Ethereum amount. So let me just see how much is it. Okay, let me just
Oh, you have
give
to key in the
0.02.
decimal place. Can't you key in the equivalent of US dollar?
Yeah, so if I key in a decimal place, right, then you see here they have the USD.
Oh, okay.
All right, so to make this, I mean, 0.02 sounds better than 0.018, right? So we will just give you 0.02. And maybe next year, your 0.02 Ethereum may be worth more or less, right? So hopefully it appreciates. Okay, so that's how you do a transfer. You copy paste the address, you key in the amount.
Okay.
Of course, you need the amount in your wallet. And then you can choose the transaction fee. So fortunately for us now, right, today the Ethereum gas fee is quite low. It's just double digit. In like the past few days, it was like 100 over-ish, so just nice. And since we are doing a live transaction, right, we'll go with fast. Okay, so this is how you transfer. And just to share, I'm using a ledger here. So it's a hardware wallet where you can transfer Ethereum. You can transfer any crypto token supported on a ledger. So how it works is that when I press next, I will need to confirm my transaction on my ledger. Wait, let me just key in my key. All right, so you can see when you send Ethereum, they will share again the gas fee. Like what Danny shared just now, gas is the transaction fee for the Ethereum platform. And then they will very nicely sum up the total you are going to send, which is your transaction amount and your gas fee. So in total, we will, after you check, you can confirm it and approve it on your ledger. Maybe if you're not using a ledger, you do not need to approve. You can approve it with Metamask, but because I'm using a ledger, I will approve it with my ledger. So I press approve ready. And then now the transaction is sent, and you can even see it on a blockchain. You can view on Etherscan, you click on it. And you can see the transaction here. So basically the blockchain is very transparent. When you send on Metamask, you can see your transaction happening in real time. So here you can see that, okay, it has been successfully sent to Kiang Kong's address here, assuming this is his right address. And we sent, I think, let me just check. So we just sent 0.02 Ethereum to Kiang Kong. And later, Kiang Kong, after the session, you can check your phone again. You will see that in your wallet, you will have received 0.02 Ethereum. Okay, so just to share, this is Etherscan. So it's an Ethereum blockchain explorer where you can see all your blockchain transactions. So this is the beauty of having your own wallet, not on an exchange. You can see everything happening in real time. You can check as well. You do not need to be scared that, oh, Binance under maintenance again, because blockchain is 24/7. So wonderful. Thank you, Kiang Kong. Yes, what's your question?
You say I have to go to the MetaView to do a confirmation.
This is the sender, meaning that because I send, right? So I need to confirm that I want to send to you. But as a receiver, you just receive the crypto.
Oh, okay. I don't need to do anything.
Yeah, so basically what you need to do is after the session, you use your phone, you go to my Ether wallet, you check whether you have the amount.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so this is how a blockchain transaction work. So now let's go back to our Q&A. So let's see. So here are some of the questions that we have here. The first is, what is the difference between Ethereum and Bitcoin? Anyone here want to share?
Yep, still Knox is right. Bitcoin is relatively slow as a blockchain.
Ethereum is alt. All right, so I think Ethereum and Bitcoin, right? Basically, Bitcoin, the purpose is like peer-to-peer transactions. Bitcoin is something like digital gold. It's the most popular cryptocurrency that everyone knows of. But Ethereum, other than just transferring money, I think Ethereum is also a platform. It enables developers, it enables more people to build on blockchain. So I think a lot of you heard of ICOs, right? Initial coin offering. So Ethereum enables like anyone here, if you want, you can create your own token. Richard, you want a token, you can create Richard coin. Mabel, you want a token, you can create Mabel token. So basically Ethereum is more of a platform. It helps to support the development of more decentralized application. Whereas for Bitcoin, the value is really like digital gold. It's for peer-to-peer transfer. Yeah, so I think a lot of good answers from the crowd as well, like Richard say. Ethereum network can accommodate a lot of dApps, while Bitcoin is more restrictive. Bitcoin is more for peer-to-peer transfer. It's not really for development of decentralized application. So very good. Next question. Issue with Ethereum 1.0 and how 2.0 is trying to address that. So anyone want to share? I think here we do have some experts that really know a lot about Ethereum. So if you don't mind, feel free to unmute yourself and share with the rest. So thank you, Still Nox like shared, summarized very well. So Ethereum 2.0 want to address the problem of scalability, transfer speeds, and lower gas fee. So I think Still Nox is right, because right now Ethereum is under the consensus mechanism of proof of work. So because it's proof of work, similar to Bitcoin, it is very energy consuming. It's also like higher transaction fee. Like sometimes when we send like $100, depending on the gas, sometimes we need to pay over $20 just to send $100 worth of Ethereum. So this is not very worth it. So with the transition of Ethereum from proof of work to proof of stake, the transition has been going on. Actually, recently, they already transit to proof of stake. But the thing is that this transition to F2.0 is not yet completed. It is still in progress, which is why some of you say, why is the gas fee still high? This is because the transition has not been 100% made yet. It is still transiting, which is why some of the Ethereum technical issue is still there. All right, so anyone else want to add on Ethereum 1.0 versus 2.0? If not, right, actually after the session, we will share with you the slides. And at the last page of the slide, we do have some resources for you to read. And one is on Ethereum 2.0 QA. So here today, you just need to know that right now, Ethereum has not been fully transited to F2.0. It is still transiting, which is why you see that some of the functionality is still the same. There hasn't been improvement. So the next question, is unlimited supply of Ethereum an issue? Anyone want to share their thoughts? If not, right, let me just share what I think. I don't like what I think, right? It's not 100% right, but it's just what I think. I don't think it's an issue because Ethereum, if you see the usability of Ethereum, it is for decentralized application to develop their dApps, and with more dApps we have, the more transactions there are, right? So the thing is that when more projects join the Ethereum ecosystem, then they will keep using the gas fee, as in they will keep using the Ethereum network, they will keep transferring. So unlimited supply of Ethereum won't be an issue, especially if the network keeps running, if we keep getting new projects coming in. Because when new projects get on Ethereum, they will do smart contracts transactions, they will release their own smart contract, right? All this will take up gas fee. So the thing is that every day, gas is being burned by all the transaction, by all the smart contracts creation. So I don't think unlimited supply of Ethereum is an issue, especially if utility of the platform keeps going up, is still exponential. So anyone else want to add anything? Because this is just my point of view.
I think initially Ethereum did face this concern, but then that's when they decided to put a maximum cap as well, a maximum emission cap as well. So from there, it became even though it's unlimited, but there was still a limit to how fast it can grow, and for that reason, like the value could still accrue to the token. The value could still grow in that token. For this, okay, this is actually a pretty tricky question because this would also be better answered with understanding of what ETH 2.0 will bring, especially in the case of the EIP 1559. I know it sounds a bit technical, but you can go take a look at that EIP 1559. It should help you have a better understanding of how the unlimited supply of ETH actually is now mitigated by a new mechanism.
All right, so the next question. How do I get started with Ethereum? And what is your recommended amount? So anyone want to share? Like, we are not limiting the sharing to just us because we are also here to learn from everyone. I think some of you here are pioneers in this space as well, so feel free to share. If not, right, let me just quickly share. So how do you get started with Ethereum? To get started, right, it's good for you to at least read the Ethereum white paper, because when you read the white paper, then you understand why Vitalik Buterin, he wants to create Ethereum. What is his point of view? Because the white paper is like a summary of what Ethereum wants to do, what Ethereum is. So I highly encourage everyone here, before you buy your first Ethereum, please at least read the Ethereum white paper to get a better understanding of what is Ethereum, what is Ethereum trying to solve. And what is your recommended amount? To be clear again, we are not your investment advisors and there isn't any set amount. But my general philosophy, right, personal philosophy is that you should only invest what you are willing to lose. Because the fact is that the crypto market is so volatile. Today, Ethereum can be 500. Tomorrow, it can be 1,000. The day after, it could be 200. So with such high volatility, right, it means that, well, you need to have like, how to say, strong hands. You need to be able to you need to be able to be okay with such volatility and fluctuation. So personally, I would recommend that you only invest in what you are comfortable with. Invest only with money you are willing to lose. All right, any other, anyone want to contribute? If not, next question. Microsoft recently adopts Ethereum blockchain for gaming royalties. Is this an example of contract management application? So that's a good question. Anyone here recently heard about this? Because personally, I didn't hear about this news.
I think this one basically was for gaming partners to be aware of what they're earning at any point in time. They get updated real-time earnings recorded in the ledger. So I think that's basically what it is.
Yeah, so basically this is a good use case of Ethereum because it it does show that Ethereum is not just for financial transactions. Like here, you can see a real life use case of Ethereum and partner with such an established partner as well, Microsoft. So even Microsoft is adopting the Ethereum blockchain, which means that this blockchain technology, Ethereum, is slowly gaining traction, attracting the attention of big institutions, big companies such as Microsoft. Yes, and also recently, just a side news, Venezuela actually announced that they are going to use Stellar Lumen's blockchain for their stable token, for their digital currency, like DCEP, CBDC, central bank digital currency. So even Venezuela has confirmed that they are going to use the Stellar Lumen's blockchain. So basically everywhere in the world, governments, companies like Microsoft, they have been actively adopting blockchain, actively exploring blockchain as a proof of concept and slowly rolling out as well. So the next one, I think a lot of you are interested in this. Can you explain more about the concept of staking? Is it like pairing it with another coin or fiat during trading? So I think this question, Dennis, is his expertise. So maybe Dennis, do you want to share?
Staking comes in many forms. Staking generally can mean when you deposit your assets into a smart contract and basically lock it away. You're kind of like locking it away in terms of reducing the supply that's circulating, or you're staking it in your smart contract as an asset that you are putting up for collateral, right? So basically, staking is the idea that you are locking away this asset, forfeiting it as collateral if some other problem were to happen, and it's also one of the basis for proof of stake mechanisms. Okay, so I'm not sure which staking you refer to, but staking has been opened up from proof of stake to end up becoming used for pledging. It's just basically the idea of pledging, all right?
All right, we will just answer the last question from this, and then we will check out some answers in the chat box. All right, so what is F 2.0? With the demand of DeFi up and rising, is Ethereum blockchain the one that deals with financial related matters? So as shared previously, right, Ethereum 2.0 is like the next stage for Ethereum because they are trying to improve their protocol. They want to improve the speed of the transaction. They want to reduce gas fee, and they introduce this in different stages. So Ethereum 2.0 won't just happen instantly, like just say, oh, we want to upgrade. Today, Ethereum 1.0, tomorrow, Ethereum 2.0. It doesn't work this way. There are different stages to it. And just to share a bit, like some of the key things they want to do is, one of it is to introduce sharding. So sharding, right, as the name suggests, is like splitting it to many, many different smaller blockchain, smaller transactions. So with sharding, the transaction speed will be improved. So if you want to learn more about the technicality behind F 1.0 to F 2.0 transition, we will send you the link later because we do have a link that shares about F 2.0 Q&A. And for DeFi and Ethereum, let's throw it to Dennis because he's the DeFi expert.
Well, most of DeFi will take place on the Ethereum ecosystem. Yes, I fully agree with that. But I also foresee like other blockchains, other protocols such as Polkadot, such as Solana, being taking some market share for DeFi as well. All right, so Polkadot has been undergoing quite a bull run lately. You might want to take a look into it. It allows, it's a good alternative to Ethereum. I think you should take a look at it. So in fact, one of the co-founders of Ethereum was the one that started Polkadot. Okay, Polkadot is probably rank 4 or 5 in terms of the overall market capitalizations now.
All right, wonderful. So thanks for all the questions. Do you guys want us to continue with the questions in Mentimeter or just answer the questions in the group chat? Because I see that a lot of you here also have a lot of questions on the chat. So can you type chat in the chat box if you want us to go through the questions on the chat, and type Menti if you want Menti questions. All right, I see most chat. We will just move to the chat box. All right, so JY have a good question. To get started, how do we go about to get Ethereum wallet. So one link we will highly recommend is My Ether wallet. So this is a place where you can create your own Ethereum wallet, meaning that you hold a key, you hold a public and private key for your own Ethereum. All right, so this is where you can get your wallet. But of course, when you create your wallet, it doesn't mean there will be Ethereum inside. You need to buy, you need to transfer in. Okay, so this is a website where you can create your wallet. Let me just share the link in the group chat. Oops. So this is where you can create your own blockchain wallet on Ethereum blockchain wallet. And then you can buy it on exchange, right? Basically, because Ethereum is such a popular token. It's the second most popular token after Bitcoin. So basically, you can find it at most exchange, such as CoinHako, Binance.sg, Huobi.com, Coinbase.com, Gemini.com. So basically, any big exchange, they will have Ethereum. So let me just stop sharing. So any other questions? Yes, so Stillnox has a good point to make. So disclaimer, please check the URL in case of phishing, because especially in crypto, because it's unregulated scene, right? So there's a lot of scams going on. So please double check any URL. You go to the social media of the project, go to the social media of the exchange to double check that the URL is correct before you really create an account, you really make a transaction. Because the fact is that in this space, there are a lot of scams. Anytime you're not clear, right, feel free to ask us on Telegram as well, because we have a lot of helpful community members there as well, such as Mark. I can see Mark, Jamie, Kiang Kong, Christopher. So a lot of you here are also like crypto users, so they will be able to assist you as well. So any other questions?
Hi, this is Mohit here.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm very new to the group. So I just had a question regarding that whether the identity of a person who is doing a transaction over Ethereum, if that can be identified, because essentially the wallet or the account, the name is not exactly the name of a person, right? So is there a way to link the two?
This is a good question because generally, no, it does not capture your personal particulars. It does not capture your IP address. But actually, firms like Ian's, it is their business to help connect these things in case of fighting cybercrime or fighting white collar crime. It's actually, Ian, you want to jump in and talk about it?
Yeah, so I mean, the short answer to your question is yes, it is possible, but not in every situation. So the information, I mean, one of the misnomers about cryptocurrency is that it's anonymous, right? A lot of people used to think that Bitcoin was anonymous, when in fact, Bitcoin is what we call pseudonymous, which means, okay, you may not know the person's identity, but you can actually see a unique account number, right? Which is initiating or part of the transactions. And so without any other external information, just with the blockchain data, no, you wouldn't be able to identify a person, but you know, today, a lot of businesses are being regulated where they need to collect identity of their clients on their exchange, for example, right? So when you open an exchange account, exchange asks you to go through KYC to prove where you have to verify your identity. So now the exchange would know that, okay, this is an address that is perhaps used by me, Ian, right? And so by looking at blockchain information, you could then perhaps work with these companies who have information about their clients, right? And if they're willing to disclose it, then yes, that would be one way to draw a link. But purely looking at blockchain data, no, you wouldn't be able to tell who a person is. So hope that helps.
I just want to add on, like, let me just share my screen quickly. So quite interesting, right? If you see my screen, do you see Etherscan? So this, right, even though we are not able to identify the person in a wallet, you cannot know, like, 0xAAA923 is anyone, because you only see the code here. But Etherscan, right, they also are very good. They actually will tag out address that has been compromised. So this is a way, because let's say the hacker try to transfer from this address to another one. Etherscan will still tag them out. So you can see here, this address has been marked as an address that has been involved in a CryptoPeer hack. CryptoPeer is an exchange. All right, so this address is the recipient of the hacker. So any transaction that these addresses make, Etherscan is able to mark them up as a hacker, like CryptoPeer hacker 2, CryptoPeer hacker 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so the fact is that although we cannot know the identity of the person, there are some ways, because they can mark it up in the Etherscan, even though they cannot stop the transaction. But when the hacker wants to liquidate their holding, when they transfer to a centralized exchange, that is where the centralized exchange can freeze the account. Because like Ian's firm, right, Merkle Science, they will alert exchanges to all this compromised wallet address. Yeah, so this is quite interesting. So you can actually see that we are able to mark that these exchanges these wallets have been compromised. All right, so any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and feel free to ask.
Michael's asking a question that MAS is limiting wallet holdings to $5,000. I'm not actually aware of this. I'll probably be in trouble if that was a real ruling. Is that the case? Ian, is this a thing? MAS?
Yep. There actually is a limit. So I think in the consultation paper that they put out recently, the industry, at least the ones that a couple of the industry bodies that I'm part of, we had written to MAS to say that this is actually a huge problem. Yeah, so for those of you who do use Xfirst, one thing you would have noticed, for example, is that Xfirst also doesn't allow you to hold more than 5,000 inside the wallet. And then they have perhaps a 20, 30K annual limit, right? So yeah. But the crypto space, obviously a lot of rich crypto people hold more than 5,000 at a point of time. Yeah, so the feedback has been given that it's not very practical, but don't know whether or not any change will be made.
All right, I see Zoom here has a hand raised, a virtual hand. So Zoom, do you have a question? No? So anyone else, feel free to unmute yourself, feel free to share with the rest or ask anything you want. All right, so Asher has a question. Maybe I missed something, but if the supply is unlimited, won't it be like printing money and cause devaluation? So interesting question, Asher. So I think for Ethereum, right, the supply circulation and when the Ethereum, like new Ethereums are minted, right, is deflationary, meaning that they do release new Ethereum, but not at an inflationary rate. And so far, the utility of the platform has been massive, so much that Ethereum is the blockchain platform with the most number of decentralized application. So I think demand still outpaces supply quite a lot. So I don't think Ethereum will have devaluation, especially because every year, every month, you have new dApps being created on Ethereum. So the only time where Ethereum will really like become devaluated, right, is when we have no new platforms, no new projects working on Ethereum, which is quite impossible because with DeFi, every day there is new DeFi protocol, and most of these DeFi protocols, they are using Ethereum network. All right, so from now until I think like in the short term at least, Ethereum demand and use cases has been rising exponentially. So I don't think there is any devaluation of Ethereum. Rather, I would say Ethereum price potentially will have a lot of room to grow.
Just let me add some of my opinions. I think for people who bring up discussions about the unlimited supply of Ethereum, they are bringing it up in contrast to the fact that Bitcoin only has 21 million coins ever. So it gives value to Bitcoin because of the scarcity argument, right? So then by direct comparison, you're looking at Bitcoin and you say, oh, this one's got 21 million coins, and then you look at Ether and you're like, oh well, this one is unlimited. But you got to understand that Bitcoin and Ethereum were both developed under very different circumstances. They have very different roles to play in the ecosystem. So comparing just by the supply of coins versus the actual utility of the ecosystem, or sorry, the utility of the tokens and how the ecosystem has evolved. There's a lot. The argument is actually a lot deeper than just looking at whether it's unlimited or limited. All right.
All right, wonderful. Thank you so much for all your questions. So now the time is already 9, so we will be ending soon. So before we end, right, just to check whether you have any other questions. So maybe we can take 1 or 2 more before we officially end the session. So thank you so much for being with us. And I see a lot of you are still here even after the lottery, which is good because it means that you want to learn more about Ethereum, not just here for potential money, right? So any other questions? All right, for DAOs, F 2.0 is trying to implement state sharding, which means it's gonna take a long while to get up to speed. Competitors' blockchain can catch up by having developers port over with their Ethereum bridges. Is it something to worry about? So personally, I think this is a very good question. And just to share my point of view, it's not like 100% right because it's just my opinion. But I think, right, if you look at it, Bitcoin, what's so special about it? Why is it that it's the most popular cryptocurrency? Why is it worth over 30K when it doesn't do anything much except for you to store value, being the digital gold? And one main thing is that it has the first mover advantage. It's like the mother of crypto. Everyone knows crypto because of Bitcoin. So I think, right, Ethereum too, even though it's not the best technology, there are other blockchain platforms that have higher speed, better transaction speed, better storage, better scalability. But why are people using Ethereum as the de facto dApps? One thing is also first mover advantage, I would personally say, because so many projects already develop on Ethereum. And it's very easy for you to join their ecosystem because you know that, oh, other projects are there. I can ask them for help also if it is needed. So even though Ethereum is not like the technology, the blockchain technology that is the best, there are other platforms that provide there. But I think just with first mover advantage, right, it already win because ultimately blockchain is about adoption. It's about developers that utilize the platform. So this is my personal point of view. So anyone else want to share?
I think you can also approach it from the idea of the network effect. The idea of the network effect is this concept that as more and more participants enter a network, the value of the network actually grows, right? So if for example, if Facebook has got so many different people on it, right? So the network is very strong because the number of connections between all the different parties on the network, that's exponentially growing each time a new member joins, right? Whereas if you have a new social media network and it's got only like 3 of your friends on it, it can have the best thing. You can have like AR, you can have VR, you can have the most awesome technology, you can have 3D imaging and everything. But because there's only 3 friends on it, it's pretty useless to the rest of the world because there's no network effect. So the first mover advantage, whenever it comes to blockchains, actually creates this moat, right? It creates this barrier to entry, or it creates this competitive edge because of the fact that there's so many people who are already using it, and therefore more people want to come to this ecosystem because everyone else is already playing there.
Yes. All right. Wonderful. So one last question for Still Knox 10 mg. So creative name, is it a drug or something? Sound like some drug, 10
Yeah,
mg.
it's good sleeping medicine. It's quite fun.
Maybe he from the dark web, right? Dark net. Yeah. So one last question. Is there any company arguing against the Payment Service Act passed on January 2019, being that many blockchain startups are in Singapore? As I feel that it limits our investment into crypto. So maybe we can ask Ian here, our compliance expert, compliance and regulatory expert.
Yeah, so I mean, if the answer is there anybody that is complaining about it or against it, then definitely. I mean, with the Introduction to Payment Services Act, companies have to comply to quite a high standard, so they do need to spend quite a lot of money, not only just setting up operations here, but hiring a local compliance officer and then using a bunch of compliance tools. So on the one hand, yes, it might have made it a little bit difficult for the SMEs or smaller blockchain projects without the budget to get set up. But at the same time, the government has given out a lot of grants to help subsidize, right? But I think at the same time, we also should be aware that with the introduction of the regulation, it has also attracted a lot of foreign companies to come and set up shop in Singapore. So we've seen a lot of the US exchanges, Coinbase, Gemini, all setting up operations here, trying to open a local exchange, right? And so if you look at it from a bigger picture, actually, now we have more platforms to use locally, as well as it's also causing the ecosystem locally to grow when you have large established players wanting to come and operate in a licensed environment.
Wonderful. So thanks, Ian. So hope this answers your question. Still Knox 10 mg. All right, so now the time is 9:07 and we'll be ending our session. But if you have any other additional questions, feel free to reach out to us on Telegram. I think a lot of you are already there, so very good. So feel free to continue to share, continue to ask more questions, and then we can learn together, because ultimately we want to create like open community